Hey chefs, it's Marty here from FOODCOSTCHEF.com. Have you ever wondered how to allocate fry oil cost to each of your menu items? You know, that magical liquid gold you dump in, cook in, and dump out while having absolutely no idea what it's costing you per plate? Yeah, most kitchens treat fryer oil like it runs on hopes and dreams. I was just having another bad hair day when I figured out the easiest way to track this using the FOODCOSTCHEF calculator, and honestly, it's kind of simple. Okay, part 1, the 1-week log. First, we need to capture data. I know that sounds like something an accountant would say, but stick with me. We're going to run a 1-week fryer log test. Grab a clipboard, hang it by the fryer. Every day for 1 week, track 3 things. Oil in, fresh pails, top-ups during service, write down the dollar amount. 2, oil out, full changes, partial dumps, make a note when you toss it. 3, fried orders sold. Pull this data from your POS at the end of the week, covering the same period as the log. Wings, fries, fish, tenders, jalapeno poppers, mozzarella sticks. If it touched that fryer, count it as one order. That's it. 1 week, you're not doing this forever, but you should be doing it 2 or 3 times a year during different business cycles. Once in a slow season, once when you're busy, and maybe once when you've made a menu change. 3 weeks of tracking per year, even your dropout college student manning the deep fryer can handle this. Here's part 2. All right, the week's over, you survived. Let's do the math. In this example, we spent $86 on oil this week. We sold 374 fried orders. $86 divided by 374 equals 23 cents. That's our number. Now, 23 cents per serving of what exactly? It doesn't matter. I know what you're thinking, but chef, an order of fries isn't the same as breaded chicken wings. You're right, it's not. Wings sit in there longer, breaded stuff sheds sediment. If you wanted to get surgical about it, you could calculate weighted absorption rates for every single fried item on your menu. You could, but we both know that's not going to happen, and then you're back to knowing nothing. Here's the thing though, we're capturing 100% of the oil cost either way. The flat rate just distributes it across everything you sold. Some items slightly over, some slightly under, but the total is accurate. And close enough beats no idea every single time. Part 3. Now here's the clever part. Instead of adding fry oil as an ingredient to every single fried recipe, we're going to turn fry oil ingredient into a base recipe. Why? Because the next time we run our 1-week test, we just have to update the base recipe once, and every fried item on our menu updates automatically. So what does this base recipe look like? We've got one ingredient, fry oil. But you know what? Let's add another one, fryer cone filters, because those cost money too, and nobody ever thinks about them. And I just mathed this down to get our 23 cents per serving over here in the food cost percentage panel. Aha, now you can see where this is going. Let's look at our house-cut fries recipe. I can add fryer oil as a base recipe, not an ingredient. 1 portion. Done. Fries now include the oil cost. Let's look at my fish and chips recipe. Here's my bulk recipe for 20 fish and chips portions. So I'm going to add 20 servings of fryer oil. 20 servings of fryer oil. It sounds like an aioli on the side, doesn't it? Would you like some fryer oil with that, sir? Excellent choice. But no, oil remains in the food. We know this. That's why we're tracking it. So now my cost per serving for the fish is $3.07. Now let me show you why this matters. Let's say oil goes nuts, like from $37.99 to $67.99 a pail. Hey, this brings back the good old days of COVID, right? Remember when everything tripled in price and customers still complained about a 50-cent menu price increase? Good times. Anyway, we know this can happen, and when it does, look at that. My fry oil base recipe just jumped from 23 cents to 42 cents per portion. The fish went from $3.07 to $3.25 per portion. Now let's look at the full plate cost. The fries and the fish each have a fry oil portion included, so my food cost percentage for this full plate just went from 23.1% to 24.8%. Not astronomical, but definitely noticeable. And look what we'd need to do to the menu price just to keep it in line, from $22 to maybe $23.50. There, back in range. Now, I'm not saying you have to bump your price with every cost increase, but this is a good example of how ingredient costs can skew your results if you're not on top of things. And most kitchens are not on top of things. They just absorb the hit and wait for the food cost numbers to come in at the end of the month. Here's the real point. When you do your 1-week test 2 or 3 times a year, you might need to adjust that fry oil base recipe. If oil prices change, your volume changes. Maybe you added more fried items to the menu. But once you have a system like this, you're not estimating anymore. You're on top of it. And that stress of not knowing, it gets replaced by having the information to make actual strategic decisions about your menu. Novel concept, I know. Now, if you want to see how I set this up, there's a full blog post linked below with the tracking log template and all the details. And if you're still doing your food costing in a spreadsheet held together by duct tape and prayers, maybe check out the Food Cost Chef calculator. I'm Chef Marty. Thanks for watching. Go track your oil. And remember, it's only good food if the math works.